Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Thursday, the 14th of September 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, bringing you the day's national top stories translated into English 6 days a week. Parliament has officially started work on the new legislature, constituting all its organs. During today's plenary session, the members of Parliament approved the composition of the commissions, delegations and other bodies, such as the Bureau of Assembly, the Council for Legislation and the Council for Regulations and Immunities. The majority will lead 5 parliamentary commissions, respectively the Parliamentary Commission of Economics and Finance, the National Security Commission, the Commission for Productive Activity, the Commission of Laws and the Commission for Foreign Policy. Parliament members approved Erion Brache as the chairman of the Commission of Economics and Finance and the Democrat MP Yorida Tabaku as vice chairwoman of the Commission. Former Minister Eromanela Felai was elected as chairwoman of National Security. Edward Shalsi was elected as chairman of the Commission for Productive Activity. Ulsi Manya was elected as chairman of the Commission of Laws and the Democrat MP Edward Halimi as vice chairman. The Commission for Foreign Policy will be headed by the former Minister of Defence, Mimi Kodeli. Parliament members voted for 2 vice-chairmen for the Commission of Foreign Policy, the former Minister of Integration, Clyda Jorsha, and the Democrat MP, Tritan Shehu. Meanwhile, the 3 commissions that the opposition parties have the right to head are divided between the Socialist Movement for Integration and the Democratic Party. The SMI will head the Commission for Social Issues and Health, which will be chaired by Petrit Vasili. The Democratic Party will head the Media Commission, which will be chaired by Albana Vokshi, and the Integration Commission, which will be headed by Gens Polo. Parliament also approved a change in regulation allowing MPs to be members of no more than 2 permanent parliamentary commissions. Previously, the MPs could only attend a commission. The decision also states that a deputy may participate in other commissions without having the right to vote. During the session for the constitution of the bodies, Parliament approved the Democratic MP Edi Paloka and the Socialist MP Vasilika Husi as Vice Assembly Speakers. The Socialist Party has expressed opinions against the request of the Republican Party to form a 4th parliamentary group with some MPs from the Democratic Party. The chairman of the Socialist Party's parliamentary group, Chalant Bala, said that the request is not within the Constitution's spirit. For this reason, Mr. Bala has sent a letter to the Council for Regulation, Mandates and Immunity asking for their interpretation as he considers the Republican Party's request to be unconstitutional. There is a request from a group of members of the Democratic Party to create a parliamentary group of the Republican Party, which, in my opinion, is not in the spirit of the Constitution or the Parliament's regulation. But this is an issue for which I am asking the Council of Regulation to offer their interpretation in order not to have problems in the future, said the chairman of the Socialist Party's parliamentary group. Parliament has not yet made a decision, but after the official letter of Mr. Bala, the Council for the Regulation of Parliament is expected to gather and discuss the request of the Republican Party to create a new parliamentary group. During the first meeting of the Socialist Party's parliamentary group, Prime Minister Edi Rama announced that the government and the Socialist MPs will sign an agreement of understanding, which will come to the aid of the citizens. The Prime Minister said that the agreement will be signed in the coming plenary session and took the chance to thank the Assembly Speaker for starting the session on time. It is an agreement that sanctions the rules of collaboration and interaction between the government, the parliamentary group and the Socialist Party as 3 inseparable parts of the same governing team. The deal contains everything we need to have both government and communicative power for working with the public as never before, said the Prime Minister. Mr. Rama went on to announce that the new Assembly of the Socialist Party will gather in October in order to elect the new chairmanship and to give life to the project for co-governance with citizens. Saimir Tahiri was elected as coordinator for the co-ruling platform. The co-ruling policy, which we will publicly declare in a few days, will not be a website, but a mechanism of people who will realise the platform. The aim is to manage 3 main points: clearing corruption from state institutions, offering quality service, and punishing those who become an obstacle to citizens' rights. With this platform, the citizens will have the right, after gathering a certain number of signatures, to call ministers or even the Prime Minister for an interpellation, declared the Prime Minister. During the meeting of the Socialist Party's chairmanship, 4 vice chairmen and the secretary of the parliamentary group were elected. The EU Commissioner for Enlargement, Johannes Hahn, has considered the role of judicial reform in Albania to be very important. Mr. Hahn held a meeting with the observers of the International Monitoring Operation in Brussels, praising the work of the observers and their professionalism. Glad to meet the observers from the International Monitoring Operation for Albania. Impressed by professionalism and diversity of team, I welcome the IMO presence as an important step for the successful implementation of the vetting process, and I wish the team the best success, wrote the EU Commissioner on Twitter. The vetting process for judges and prosecutors as part of the framework of the judicial reform will officially begin this month. The EU Commissioner for Enlargement also wished success to Prime Minister Edi Rama for the new government. I congratulate the Prime Minister of Albania for the successful formation of government. Big responsibility to deliver on citizens' expectations, wrote Mr. Hahn. Yesterday, the Commissioner Hahn spoke of the EU enlargement process, saying that a credible enlargement policy should be offered to the Western Balkan countries. For the first time after more than 4 years since his resignation from leading the party, the historic leader of the Democratic Party, Mr. Sali Berisha, has spoken openly regarding the mistakes of the current DP chairman, Basha. During an interview given in a political program, Mr. Berisha said that the list of DP candidates for the June 25 elections was made exclusively by Mr. Basha and not by the Democratic Party. He considered the removal of some prominent figures of the Democratic Party from Parliament to be an unforgivable mistake. Discussing how the DP chairman did not consult with the DP forums regarding the list, Mr. Berisha said that this was an unprecedented move. Commenting on the political agreement reached between the Prime Minister and the DP chairman on May 18, Mr. Berisha said that he praised the agreement as a political victory by the DP chairman. However, according to Berisha, the Prime Minister misused the agreement during the electoral campaign, causing significant damage to the Democratic Party. Rama got all the advantages of the agreement. He presented it as a form of mercy for a good boy like Basha. Basha did not advocate the agreement well, said Berisha, adding that the DP chairman had miserable advisers in the electoral campaign. The former DP leader refers to the IPR marketing poll to emphasise that the DP was losing points during the campaign because of its communication strategy. The poll from IPR was absolutely tragic to us, but it found out the truth. In the first poll, the DP increased by 5 points from 32 to 37.6%. If we had continued like this, the Democratic Party would attract those who had still not made up their mind. But what happened? Edi Rama masterfully used the political agreement and promised a coalition with the people. The DP chairman lost points here. In the next poll, the DP had decreased by 6%. In this moment, the DP had lost its militants, who were against a coalition. Basha had miserable electoral advisers, analysed Berisha. However, Mr. Berisha thinks that the DP chairman can overcome the crisis and return to power if he chooses to adopt a model that will take him towards victory. Mr. Berisha called on his former collaborators, who are currently against the DP chairman, to go forward with a new perspective in the Democratic Party, therefore making a political investment. President Ilir Meta, who is also the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, attended the Albanian-British joint training Eagle Soldier 17. After getting acquainted with the training program conducted by the Albanian and British troops, the President of the Republic praised the excellent collaboration between our armed forces and the UK armed forces, expressing the conviction that England will continue to support Albania in the future. I want to highlight our satisfaction for this excellent teamwork between the armed forces and the armed forces of Great Britain, as the UK has an extraordinary role in the alliance we are part of. We thank Great Britain for the level of experience it brings here and for the support it has provided so far. I am convinced that it will also support the modernisation of our armed forces and the increase of their capacities, said President Meta. The joint Albanian-British training under NATO's provision took place at a naval military base in Durrës. This demonstration was attended by the British Ambassador Duncan Norman and the Chief of Staff of Great Britain, Marshal Sir Stuart Peach, as well as the Albanian Chief of General Staff. That's all for our English edition this evening. My name is Alexandra. Please join me again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. On behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.